Welcome to part 4 of the IP series, Getting Your Product or Your Ideal to Market. So, in part 3, we talked about is your invention patentable? You done did the research, you done did your Google search, different databases to looking up the internet to see whether or not your ideal is out there. And you have taken that information to an attorney to do some type of supplemental search and to give you your likelihood of success of getting uh, a patent on your ideal. Now he's or she has given you positive feedback, and now it's time to go to the next step, which can be broken down into two parts. Number one is to file your patent application. Then number two is to start, manufacturing the prototype and kind of looking at manufacturing the goods going forward. So to file a patent application, and there's a number of ways you can do it. In part five, we'll get off into funding, but to for a patent application, you can have your patent attorney or your patent agent file what is called either a provisional patent application or a non-provisional patent application. We talked a little bit about the differences of provisional and the non-provisional patent applications in uh, part three of this, where a provisional patent application is pretty much costs a couple $100, and you can essentially get your place in line. Now, that provisional patent application is not examined by an examiner at the patent office, but it's going to be a inexpensive way to hold your place in line while you go out there, continue to try to raise money, continue to try to develop the project or the product. And as compared to a non-provisional, where hey, this thing has to be buttoned up, it's ready to go. It's going to be examined by the USPTO, and therefore, it's certain requirements that you are going to need to have with that patent application, which unfortunately just comes with higher costs from an attorney fee as well as from the USPTO fee. So uh, after you get positive feedback from the patent attorney or the patent agent as it relates to the likelihood of success of getting a patent on your invention, you most likely need to look at starting trying to file a patent application, which, like I said, provisional and non-provisional patent applications are probably the two that you're going to likely look at. Now, if this is an invention that it's a worldwide, has worldwide uh, uh, application, then you may want to look at what is called a PCT application, which you file is PCT Patent Cooperation Treaty, and you file it, and that actually costs a pretty penny to file. So you have to really have your money in order when you go to file this thing, but it gives you the ability to look at going to different countries. Now, again, you can. This is a tip that you can actually file a provisional or a non-provisional, and then later on file a PCT application. But sometimes people will just that they file PCT applications from the beginning, and then they go into the different countries within a requisite timing. And there's a lot of different strategic ways in which you would do that as opposed to doing provisional or non-provisional. But that's going to be your third way that again I don't want to talk too much about, just because you're going to really need to have your money buttoned up, or your money saved up, I should say, to to file a PCT application. So that's the whole filing a patent application part of it. The second part of it is you need to have a prototype, or you need to look at, okay, how am I going to manufacture this product to the extent that the product is a product that you're going to manufacture. In the few ways that I want to kind of talk about this is, first of all, as it relates to your prototype. Uh, Again, anytime you're taking this to an investor to try to have them invest, or you are, you maybe want to take this on Shark Tank and you want to have a product and things like that, to the extent that you need at least a prototype. There's different ways you can do that. 3D printing is a very cost-effective way, as it's becoming more common to 3D print objects, whether it's a metal object, whether it's a plastic object, or even a rubber object. You can 3D print your prototype, or maybe even uh, uh, it seems to be less common to manufacture these things at mass scale. That seems to be an ongoing thing, but 3D printing is a thing that you can look at. You can also look to uh, just a I have this podcast where you can go on Google, you can the phone book, whatever the case may be, to look at who are your manufacturers in this area. I actually had one guest. They said that they went to a trade show and they looked at different products at the trade show that was kind of similar to what it was that they were doing, and they looked at the higher quality products, and they were asking the inventors, "Hey, who do you go through uh for your manufacturing?" So that's another way to kind of look at to try to find different manufacturers for your product, especially as it relates to maybe a stateside manufacturer, but even maybe if it's a foreign manufacturer. And I guess the interesting thing is with the foreign manufacturer, man, it's a lot that goes into, shipping. You gotta look at, timing of things, whether or not you can get things in a timely manner. There's a lot of different things you have to consider when you're looking at, trying to have the product manufactured in, say, China or in a different foreign country. And again, it's also going to depend on you as a person. It's going to depend on the actual product. It was a person who he created the Wonder Wallet, and it was, he sells these things, for $30 or $40 or whatnot. And from a manufacturing standpoint, if it's going to cost $30 to manufacture his product in the U.S., uh, and he's selling it for $30, there's no way that he was going to be able to have a business. So he had to have cheaper manufacturing costs, and it just made sense to do it in China. And a lot of products you'll find out it's just cheaper to do in China or in a different country, so that you can keep the price point down as low as possible, so that again your spread or your margins are uh, as large as possible. I have another guest that I just invented today. They invented the turkey trusser, and it's essentially a stacked metal sheet. And they had a number of reasons why they did not want to manufacture it, manufacture the product in China. A lot of it dealt with shipping and the timeliness to be able to kind of get the product sooner rather than later. So they settled for manufacturing the product here in the U.S. And again, it cost $3 to manufacture, and they were selling it for $15, 14.99. So that's a situation where, again, your spreads in that situation was still large enough where it made sense. But I'm sure that if they really wanted to, they probably can get it for that stamp metal sheet for $1 or maybe even less than $1 if they did if they wanted to do it in China. But again, when you look at stuff like that, I think they made the right decision in that particular case, because it's like, okay, even if we can get this thing for $1, now we have to worry about the headache of uh, paying freight and having to deal with the time uh, aspect of shipping it from, say, China to the US, and we're doing that just to save maybe $2 when our spread is already $12. Maybe it doesn't make sense in that situation. But again, for, like I said, for the Wonder Wallet, in that situation where it would have cost him $30 to manufacture it over here, and he's selling it for $30, you're not in business if you're not doing it in China, and that's the case for a lot of businesses. So when you're talking about manufacturing, not only the prototype so that you can take to investors, so that you can take the trade shows, that you can take the actual pitch the product, uh, or if you're just talking about long-term manufacturing, and essentially mass manufacturing, the things that, again, as we talked about here, that you want to look at is uh, what we talked about, the 3D printing. That's an option that you cannot disregard, but that's a real thing, especially these days. We're talking about, okay, whether or not we're going to manufacture it here in the US or manufacture it in overseas, such as a country like China. Just understand the different costs, but it's a number of different ways that you can go about just looking at your particular situation when you're trying to deal with manufacturing a product. So just keep those things in mind. Hopefully you learned something from this video with regard to filing a patent application on your product after uh getting good feedback from that the patent attorney or the patent agent, as well as, okay, how do I look at manufacturing a product. So hopefully you got something from this video. Be on the lookout and stay tuned for my next video. We're going to be talking about funding, because at the end of the day, we need funding to do any of all of this. So hey, let me know what you thought about the video. Leave a comment, like it if you thought it was valuable, or you got some great insight from it. And until next time.